Hi guys! This is the very last lecture of the series. It's titled Cheon Il Guk. Now, what is that exactly? You might be wondering. Don't worry, I'll explain. In the last lecture, we covered the emergence of true parents and how true parents finally physically manifested here on earth. And in this lecture, I'll explain the process of how Heavenly Parents' dream is being actualized on earth in the present era after the true parents' holy wedding. Sadly, even at this moment, we are still witnessing a reality far from the peaceful world that Heavenly Parent envisioned at the very beginning, a world filled with war, conflict, and hatred. In this dark reality, religions have dreamed of an ideal world under different names. Christianity speaks of the kingdom of God. Buddhism talks about the pure land. Judaism refers to Olam Haba. Islam envisions Jannah. And Hinduism describes Svarga as the ideal world. So what does the ideal world look like to you? I think everyone has a different image of an ideal world, but what's common is that we all want a world free of conflict and war, a place filled with love and peace and joy. The ideal world that we imagine is also something similar to the one that Heavenly Parent imagined. Heavenly Parent didn't envision his ideal world to be a world like the one we live in today. He wanted a world that was filled with peace and happiness. Now, let's explore together what the complete and ideal world that Heavenly Parent longed for looks like. The ideal world where Heavenly Parent's dream is realized, as mentioned in the first lecture, is a world where all of humanity lives as one family under Heavenly Parent. Heavenly Parent's dream was to become the true parent of all humankind through true parents, and to create a peaceful world where humans can live together with Heavenly Parent. However, as we learned in the second lecture, due to the fall of the first human ancestors, true parents cannot appear, and Heavenly Parent's dream was thwarted. Despite this, Heavenly Parent did not give up. In order to restore this dream, Heavenly Parent carried out a long providence of salvation, and at last true parents manifested. Through true parents, we have come to understand that Heavenly Parent's dream of living with humanity is being fulfilled. In this lecture, we will explore how the dream of all humanity living as one family under Heavenly Parent, which Heavenly Parent originally wanted to achieve, is actually being realized here on earth through true parents. We call this world where Heavenly Parent's dream is realized Cheon Il Guk. First, let's define the term Cheon Il Guk and then proceed with the explanation. The term Cheon Il Guk is composed of three Chinese characters, Cheon, Il, and Guk, which translate to heaven, one, and nation, respectively. When looking at the character Cheon, it is composed of two elements, one meaning two and the other meaning person, which together form the idea of two persons becoming one. Therefore, Cheon Il Guk refers to a nation where two people become one. In the context of Cheon Il Guk, this means that Heavenly Parent and true parents become one through love. Cheon Il Guk is the ideal world under Heavenly Parent where all of humanity lives as one family. The world of Cheon Il Guk, where Heavenly Parent and true parents have united, is a world based on Shimjeong culture. I mentioned the word Shimjeong before in one of the first lectures, but you might have forgotten. Shim refers to the heart of goodness that resembles God, while Jeong refers to the unchanging, eternal longing that arises from love-based relationships. Therefore, Shimjeong refers to the unwavering longing that naturally flows from the deep place of Heavenly Parent's heart. The human Shimjeong which resembles that of Heavenly Parent, expresses emotions such as joy, sorrow, anger, and pleasure, known as Zhong. Stimulates Ji, the knowledge and understanding of things, and motivates Yu, the will, goals, and actions. This drives humans to pursue beauty, truth, and goodness. These pursuits are expressed through arts, academics, and ethics. Shimjung culture is the harmony of academic, artistic, and ethical fields based on the heart of Heavenly Parent. In other words, the culture created by humanity that resembles Heavenly Parent's Shimjung is what we call Shimjung culture. This is a world where through true love, people support each other, harmonize, collaborate, and live together. Doesn't the idea of a world based on Shimjung culture sound amazing? But we cannot realize Cheon Il Guk with ideals alone. Along with culture, we need a harmonious system of economy, politics, and society. Throughout human history, no one was able to realize a world of peace because Heavenly Parent was not at the center. That's why in order for us to realize Cheon Il Guk and create the ideal society, we need to put Heavenly Parent at the center of the culture, politics, economy, and society. And that's where the principles of interdependence, mutual prosperity, and universally shared values come in. Interdependence refers to all humanity living together in abundance, sharing a prosperous life based on true love in economic terms. Mutual prosperity is a political system of joint participation in a large family society unified by true love, centered around Heavenly Parent and true parents. Universally shared values means a society where every person enjoys equal human rights and fulfills moral responsibilities. Ultimately, the principles of interdependence, mutual prosperity, and universally shared values means that all people live together centered on Heavenly Parent, prosper together, and care for each other in a life marked by justice and fairness. Now that we've explored what Cheon Il Guk looks like, let's explore the actual lives of true parents and the works that they've done in order to make Cheon Il Guk a reality. Cheon Il Guk, in order to be realized, requires two major activities from true parents. The first is the blessing movement, to find the citizens of Cheon Il Guk. And the second is the peace unification movement, to expand the ideals of Cheon Il Guk. The elements that make up a nation are mainly territory, sovereignty, and citizens. Cheon Il Guk, the nation that Heavenly Parent desires, is also composed of these elements. In order to create Cheon Il Guk, true parents have sought out lost children through the blessing movement. As we learned in Lecture 2, due to the fall, families have been formed centered around Satan until now. The blessing is what transforms families centered around Satan into families centered around Heavenly Parent. Only through true parents was it possible for a family centered on Heavenly Parent to be established. Since their holy wedding in 1960, true parents have saved the people of the world through blessing marriages that transcend race, religion, and nationality. The blessing ceremony has been held many times, and actually there was one held just a week ago, and a lot of my friends actually attended it, and they got married, they got blessed. So congratulations to them. I heard there were around maybe 5,000 couples that got blessed. So yeah, congratulations to all the newlyweds. But in this video, I'll just share a few of the blessing ceremonies that true parents have conducted. The blessing movement began to spread widely from 1961. This movement, which started with the blessing of 36 couples, expanded to an international blessing in 1970. And in 1992, 30,000 more couples received the blessing. In 1997, 40 million couples were blessed. In the 2000s, it expanded further with the World Peace Blessing Ceremony and the Interfaith Clergy Blessing Ceremony. And today, young people around the world are participating in the blessing movement. Especially notable is that the blessing ceremony has brought together historically opposing groups such as Koreans and Japanese and black and white individuals into marriage. The blessing ceremony has become the fastest and most effective key to resolving issues of nationality and race. The blessing ceremony has become more than just a ritual, it has become the core movement for realizing the peaceful ideal world of Cheon Il Guk. Through this movement, we have been able to create a world filled with true love and peace closer than ever before. Through this, we are breaking down the walls of nationality, race, and religion, expanding families that live under Heavenly Parent as one global family, and practically bringing Cheon Il Guk into reality. True Parents have not only carried out the blessing movement, but also launched the peace and unification movement to actualize Cheon Il Guk on earth. To create a peaceful Cheon Il Guk environment, they have carried out various activities. I would like to share just a few of the most representative ones. First, there is the religious harmony movement. Although religion was created to spread the knowledge of Heavenly Parent and to establish a peaceful world, it has forgotten its essence and has become a source of discrimination and conflict today. Therefore, True Parents launched the religious harmony movement to prevent conflicts caused by religion. Among the many activities of the religious harmony movement, a representative one is the Jerusalem Peace March held on December 23, 2003. Despite the ongoing religious wars in Jerusalem, over 3,000 peace ambassadors from around the world, as well as about 17,000 Israelis and Palestinians, gathered at the Independence Park in Jerusalem on this day. They held a ceremony to comfort Jesus by removing the crown of thorns from his head and placing a crown of peace on him. Then the 20,000 attendees marched together, transcending religious and sectarian divisions for the peace of humanity. The march, which was broadcast live via the internet worldwide, became a turning point for the reconciliation of Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, who had previously been in conflict. Along with the religious harmony movement, True Parents also carried out efforts to resist communism. After World War II, the threat of communism intensified globally. True Parents saw communism, which was based on atheism and denied Heavenly Parent, as the greatest threat to world peace. From the 1960s to the 1980s, True Parents believed that merely opposing communism was insufficient. Therefore, they launched a global movement under the name Victory Over Communism to overcome this threat with the intention of achieving victory over communism. In the 1970s, as the threat of communism intensified, even in the United States, which represented democracy, there was a rising tide of communist influence. True Parents advanced the Victory Over Communism movement in the U.S. through media activities. They directly established the Washington Times newspaper and supported the U.S. government through News World, working to prevent the spread of communism. To rescue the degenerate youth of America from crisis and transform them into hopeful young people, True Parents organized large-scale rallies at places like Madison Square Garden, Yankee Stadium, and the Washington Monument. A notable example is the 1976 Washington Monument Rally, which was a historic event with approximately 300,000 participants. During this time, communists who opposed the Victory of Communism movement made frequent threats against True Parents. In fact, during the event, 2 armed assailants were arrested. True Parents delivered speeches while wearing bulletproof vests as a precaution. Despite the threats to their life, True Parents boldly stated, "I have come as a doctor and a firefighter for a sick America," sharing a vision of peace and inspiring the crowd with a dream of hope. During the height of the Cold War between the US and the Soviet Union, True Parents met with Mikhail Gorbachev in Moscow in 1990, sharing the knowledge of Heavenly Parent and paving the way for peace. Then, in 1991, True Parents visited North Korea upon an official invitation from the North Korean government, where they met with Kim Il-sung and suggested a path forward for North Korea centered around True Parents. During the meeting, North Korean security guards armed with pistols were ready to draw their weapons at any moment. Those accompanying True Parents were drenched in cold sweat, knowing that at any moment their lives could be in danger. Despite this, True Parents boldly asserted the need to believe in God in a communist country. This meeting led to the activation of economic cooperation, cultural exchange, and peace dialogues between North and South Korea. In 1992, True Mother, Hak Ja-han, went to China, a country that held communist ideologies, to give a speech. At first, the Communist Party and military did not allow the event to take place. However, after a few weeks, a miraculous approval was granted, and the event proceeded. In communist countries, it is usually forbidden to mention God, yet True Mother boldly mentioned God several times during her speech. This event became a revolutionary moment in China, a representative communist nation, as it marked the introduction of God to the country. True Parents risked their lives when they went to the Soviet Union, North Korea, and China. Why did True Parents choose such a difficult path? They explain why in their autobiography. Looking back, I reflect that it was at the moment communism reached its zenith that my husband and I risked our lives to go to Moscow and Pyongyang. With joyful hearts, as representatives of the free world, we embraced enemies who had severely persecuted us. By doing so, they were moved and we could reconcile. Thus, we laid the foundation for unification and peace. We went to North Korea not to get something, but to give genuine true love. For the sake of God, my husband and I forgave the unforgivable. For the sake of humanity, we loved the unlovable. Through these words, we can see that True Parents embraced with love even those who had communist ideologies and were their enemies. The reason True Parents risked their lives for the victory of the communist movement was solely for Heavenly Parent. They wanted to make known that Heavenly Parent is alive and bringing about the peaceful world that Heavenly Parent dreamed of. As the true parents who understand Heavenly Parent's heart the most, they knew how much Heavenly Parent suffered watching the world, and because of that, they did not hesitate to go to the most dangerous and difficult places. True Parents have lived their entire lives without sleeping more than 3 hours a day, surpassing the limitations of their physical bodies, all in order to create a peaceful world, the kingdom of heaven. After enduring much hardship, True Father, Sam Young-moon, passed away on September 3rd, 2012, at the age of 92. Let me read part of True Mother's autobiography that reflects her heart at that time. My husband and I have experienced countless things in our lifetime, and the stories I hold are even more numerous. I have made a decision to devote myself even more than I have before, for God and humanity. Since that day, I have never rested for even a moment. After Reverend Sam Young-moon, True Father, passed away, True Mother was more devastated and heartbroken than anyone else. Yet she wiped away her tears and continued to move forward in order to realize the dream of True Father and Heavenly Parent, the dream of creating a heavenly kingdom on earth. In fact, even though True Mother was over 70 years old at the time, she did not rest and instead traveled all over the world to fulfill Heavenly Parent's dream. One significant example is when she visited Gorée Island in Senegal in 2018. Gorée Island is a place where the pain of the African people is still felt, as European traders brought African slaves there from the 15th to 19th centuries. These Europeans, because of the difference in skin color, gathered African men, women, and children without distinction and sent more than 20,000 of them to North America and Europe. Tragically, many of these African people perished during the voyage. True Mother prayed and comforted the souls of those who had lost their freedom and tragically died. She also, considering the people of Goree Island who had no hospital, donated an emergency boat to the island. Although countless lives have been sacrificed over the centuries, she hoped that no more lives would be lost just because there was no boat. A plaque marking True Mother's visit to Goree Island was placed next to the plaque of former President Barack Obama at the request of the President and the people of Senegal. They expressed their deep gratitude with the following words: "Thank you for bestowing warm grace upon the sorrowful land of Africa, and for alleviating the suffering that has lasted for 500 years. Although we cannot repay you fully with this small plaque, please let us forever remember your precious steps for us." Additionally, True Mother traveled to Sao Tome and Principe in Africa and held the Africa Summit 2019. The summit was attended by 800 participants, including the President, Prime Minister, Speaker of the National Assembly, ministers, members of Parliament, religious leaders, and current and former heads of state. True Mother was deeply concerned about the reality of African people living without proper human rights, especially concerning education, health care, genital mutilation, and family issues. At the summit, leaders from the African region gathered to discuss the necessity of peace, prosperity, and unity, and a joint blessing ceremony was held for 1,200 leaders. True Mother expanded the value of the blessing and ensured that no one in Africa would suffer from issues such as genital mutilation or family problems anymore. After the event, the president of Sao Tome and Principe expressed a heartfelt thank you, saying, "Sao Tome is your home and country, so you are always welcome." This heartfelt expression showed how deeply the president and the entire country were moved by True Mother's warm love. On the foundation of many victories like these, the Heavenly Kingdom was finally established in 2020. The establishment of the Heavenly Kingdom means that Heavenly Parent is living with humanity through True Parents on earth. It is an era in which Heavenly Parent's dream is realized together with the True Parents, the Heavenly Parents of heaven, earth, and humankind. This can be said to be an era where we live together with Heavenly Parent in our everyday lives. The Creator God is our parent, and His dream is to live with us in the kingdom of heaven on earth. However, when we look at the world today, many people do not know Heavenly Parent, and in the fields of politics, religion, economy, and ideology, people fail to understand each other's differing beliefs. As a result, many suffer from hunger, war, and conflict due to the misguiding thoughts of individuals. However, if all people in the fields of politics, religion, economy, and ideology were to recognize God as our Heavenly Parent and live together, all problems could be solved. Therefore, in 2020, True Mother proclaimed the Heavenly Parents Holy Community. Heavenly Parents Holy Community is a community large enough to embrace both the spiritual and earthly realms, much like an umbrella of Heavenly Parent. If those who share the same Heavenly Parent gather within Heavenly Parent's Holy Community, they can form a peaceful community. The only way to resolve all the complex problems happening on this distorted world is by following the will of True Parents within Heavenly Parent's Holy Community. Heavenly Parent created humans as His children, but since the fall, no human has fully known Heavenly Parent. Although it was a world created by Heavenly Parent, there was not a single place where Heavenly Parent could rest in peace. True Mother has always felt heartbroken that there was no place where Heavenly Parent could comfortably stay. Therefore, True Mother prepared a sacred temple called the Chambumoron Sanctum, where Heavenly Parent can dwell eternally in joy and happiness with His children. This is an expression of true mother's deep love and filial piety toward Heavenly Parent. When a child prepares a home for their parents, they would want to design it carefully and create the most comfortable space for the parents to rest, wouldn't they? Chambumoron Sanctum is the first temple created by humans for Heavenly Parent. On April 13, 2025, the Chambumoron Sanctum entrance ceremony took place. That was when Heavenly Parent finally entered the Cheon Sanctum. His dream of living as one with humanity, which Heavenly Parent has longed for since before creation, was finally realized. This was a very historic day, and actually I feel bad because I couldn't finish this video series before that date, because if I had, then maybe you would have been able to actually come to the entrance ceremony and celebrate it with us. But this was a very historic moment, and it marked the starting point of Cheon Il Guk, an era where Heavenly Parent comes and lives directly with us here on earth. I hope that someday you can actually come to Korea and visit the Cheon Sanctum. And when you come here, I hope that you can really feel the presence of Heavenly Parent living together with us on earth. Congratulations! You have just finished the entire 5 lectures of True Parents Theology under the theme Heavenly Parent's Dream. Through this final lecture, we learned that Heavenly Parent's dream, which was prolonged for 6,000 long years, is finally being realized through the true parents in the form of Cheon Il Guk. The dream of Heavenly Parent was very simple. As the parent of humanity, Heavenly Parent wanted to live forever with his beloved children. Through true parents, Heavenly Parent wanted to give and receive love in a tangible way, in the flesh, and to create a world like a large family under Heavenly Parent, a beautiful world filled with joy, peace, and love. To make this dream a reality, Heavenly Parent gave all his effort and love. However, due to the fall, Heavenly Parent lost all of his children in an instant, and since then he has been forced to watch his children suffer. How must Heavenly Parent have felt all these years? Despite his immense pain and heartache, Heavenly Parent did not give up on saving his children and went through arduous history until he finally sent his only begotten son and only begotten daughter, until he finally sent true parents. True parents are the ones who best understand that Heavenly Parent, as the parent of humanity, has been living a sorrowful and painful day-to-day life. True parents became the body of Heavenly Parent, who wanted to directly love humanity and lived their life embracing and loving every person as their child. Living as the parent of humanity is no easy task. True parents, through their sweat and love, traveled the world seeking to find even one more soul. This path was one in which they lived without sleeping more than 3 hours a day and pushed their physical limits. True Mother, even at over 80 years of age, says that when she hears sad news from around the world, she cannot sleep. Who in the world would want to live such a hard life? The reason true parents lived this way was to realize a peaceful world where no children suffer, as the parents of all humanity. True parents are those who suffer more when you suffer and feel sorrow when you are in pain. True parents are always with you and want you to live happily as their children. Therefore, true parents will not stop until every suffering person returns to their embrace. Heavenly Parent's dream was to just live together with humanity, to live together with his beloved children. In other words, Heavenly Parent wants to live together with you, with us. I hope that through these videos you are able to understand that God is not just some distant God up in the clouds. He is our Heavenly Parent. He is our true parent, and he wants to live together with us. So I hope that you can really include God, include Heavenly Parent in your daily lives. Hear the voice of Heavenly Parent calling you and feel the love that He has for you, and live together with Heavenly Parent. Thank you so much for watching all of these videos. God bless, and I'll see you next time.